Hello my good friends, this is Chaos Angel here, also known as Lord of Omni, and we're back at it again with another flippin' video, but this time it's going to be a discussion on the Final Fantasy XIV live letter that happened during the 14-hour broadcast that I did not expect coming. So with that in mind, guys, let's get it. So yeah, I wasn't even aware that there was going to be a live letter whatsoever. There was a lot of things going on as far as my whole entire disappointment of the VGA, and then of course I had a party on that night. So yeah, my hands were tied. So other than that, even though I missed out on it and I am going to be late, obviously, probably a couple of days late. I'm just getting to this video today on Saturday, even though I should be going to sleep right now, but hey, it is what it is. You do what you gotta do. We're gonna go ahead and freaking get into this shit, freaking slide on in and just like get all of this information out and just put my 2 cents on some of the information that was given to us, as I'm pretty sure many of you already know what is like going on in terms of the content that's going to be given to us by many of the other YouTubers like Mr. Happy and most notably Yoni and what have you. So I'm not really going to delve too much into the nitty-gritty of things and just like list off all of the shit that's on here. Just gonna freaking throw in my 2 cents and leave it with that. So let's go ahead and get at it. So we first start off on the fact that we're going to be getting 5.18, not really that long. It's going to be released in December 24th, which was kind of unexpected, but I guess that shouldn't be too surprising. I don't really know whether or not if many people are going to be doing any content during that time, because it's the typical update of sorts where they're going to be removing the weekly restriction. Sure enough, for many of the actual like raid goers that wanted to do raid will now be able to do raid at that time, due to everyone going to most certainly spam it just for the sake of getting their gear and what have you. And then not to mention the fact that you'll also be able to purchase, well, not exactly purchase, but exchange the coin that you get from Copy Factory for the Deep Shadow Solvent, which will upgrade your weapon. So there's that. And then not to mention there's the Season 14 for the Feast, but I'm not entirely all that interested into the Feast. So other than that, I don't really have much into that. It's just the usual update that's before the next patch. So this is all typical. But now we move on to the actual real information, which is the next patch 5.2, which is known as Echoes of a Fallen Star. And the possible plot of this is obviously going to be that of Arbert, who is possessed by our old good friend freaking Elidibus. But adding on to that, we are probably going to be dealing with the Warriors of Light again returning, but this time they're obviously not going to be our friends again. I'm starting to see a pattern here, but this is all brought on by the fact of the whole entire Fallen, and then of course Echo and Echoes and what have you. Yeah, I don't really have much to add on that. It's going to be something that will be an intriguing bit of information for those lore goers, especially for myself, that is definitely hyped for what comes next when it comes to it. Interestingly enough, this is going to be the end of the Shadowbringer saga, so this is going to be opening the floodgates, or should I say, throw wide the gates to some new surprises that we'll be getting to the end of the main scenario of this actual patch. We'll just have to wait and see. Now, as far as this patch is going to be coming in mid-Feb of next year, so I can only think that this will probably be releasing February 11th for what I surmise looking at the calendar. I can't really see it coming any later than that, so we'll just have to cross our fingers and see if that comes. And then of course, as I said before, the possible theory of the Warriors of Light returning due to our good old Ascian friend possessing Arbert gives good credence to this theory. We'll just have to wait and see where it goes and just go from there. We then move on to the new dungeon, which I, for whatever reason, cannot remember exactly how to pronounce this word. But spitballing it, if I remember correctly, it is the Anemesis. I think I butchered that just a bit, but the Anemesis Aniter will be our new dungeon, which kind of has a sort of librarian feel to it, just looking at the photo here. But this has an actual dev code known as the ASEAN Official Residence. So I was just like, is this like a form of Amarat housing district of sorts, maybe? Will we be able to get us an Amarat like housing district? That would be cool, actually. But joking aside, this dungeon is definitely going to be something of a parallel to the whole Elidibus returning, and well, not exactly returning, but coming to the first, possessing Arbert's body, which I can only give name as far as Elidibert or Arlidibus. Kind of a stretch, but hey, I'm trying to work for it. Yeah, it definitely gives me that librarian feel due to the whole entire namesake of Anemesis being remembering things from a previous existence or previous existence, which can definitely go into the whole entire history aspect, and libraries mostly have things that refer to history, but various other things as well as that, and can also be a part of the whole entire reports those that live in Amarat usually do. Not only that, given the appearance of this photo, I really like the illustration of this place and just the architecture. It still gives me a Xanarkand vibe, but other than that, it really does have a librarian feel to it with a added sprinkle of fantasy into it. Moving aside, one of the surprising aspects is that after this, we will mainly be getting one dungeon every other patch. Well, not every other patch, but just every patch now. We will no longer be getting 2 dungeons every other patch. This is all due to the fact that we already have way too many dungeons, and so they're going to be focusing all of their resources into other things, putting their costs into other content, which is definitely going to be a nice touch. It's just that I don't entirely know how to feel about the fact that we're going to be getting one dungeon every single expert patch. So it's just how they're going to be doing the expert now. Are we mainly just going to be having one expert come the next expansion when it starts, and once we get to level 90 we'll only get one dungeon? Sure enough, I'm looking too far in the future, but hey, I have to keep my mind open to these things, you know? Now moving along, we get to the new beast tribe, which surprisingly enough is not going to be the other Fey folk. It's not going to be the new Mo, it's not going to be the dwarves, which I was kind of expecting the dwarves to be the gathering beast tribe. But no, surprise, surprise, it's actually going to be the Qatari, which is the Keycurn of the first. And in terms of their appearance, they definitely look like Keycurns, just with a different form of hat or hood, whatever that is. Now, as far as it being the gathering department, I'm actually glad that they're continuing the whole entire option for leveling your gathering and what have you, and I'm definitely interested as to what mount they would even be giving us, because I am not too familiar of what the Keycurns could even possibly have as far as a mount is concerned. And what other possible rewards will we be getting out of this? Let's theorize on that, shall we? Continuing on, we have new quests that are a part of the Chronicles of the New Era, which obviously we get, but the biggest aspect here is the new trial line that we'll be getting in this expansion, which, ooh buddy, just wait until I get to that shit. Before that, however, we have our boy Gaius that is dealing with some intriguing Auri individuals in this quest line. Looking at the photo, the clothing that they're wearing, which is quite literally known as late Allegan that you get from the PvP content. And due to its colors, my reason for theorizing that these people are actually Allegan descendants of sorts is most notably due to the colors of their clothing, which is of course Allegan, and it's similar to the fact on how Yune and Doga were wearing red and black attire as well, and not to mention also our buddy Graha, who is also of Allegan descent. So yeah, there's a lot to this theory and what we could possibly be looking forward in this quest line. And then we move on to this monstrosity. Oh, buddy, if many people don't even realize what exactly this is, this caught me for a loop. Hello, this is Ruby Weapon. The second I saw that we were going to be freaking dealing with Ruby Weapon, I didn't even know what to think. But now this all makes sense. Now, thinking about this real quick, the way on how they were making prototype Ultima weapons in the Garlean Empire really sparks a great number of theories on them experimenting on making other forms of weapons, especially when it comes to that of the Allegans. I mean, just looking at it, it mixes well. It goes along with the previous photo, as this is essentially falling off of the quest that we did, the segment that we had to deal with, the prototype Ultima weapon that our good old buddy Estinian had to freaking destroy, and so on and so forth. So I can only surmise that the Garleans are not only working on more and more prototype weapons that are similar to that of the Ultima weapon, but have their own designated codenames, which is obviously of the usual weapons that we know of. So yeah, as far as this questline is concerned, it is definitely going to be an interesting bit of lore when it comes to, of course, the Allegans, because we will never be done with the whole Allegan thing, as it is literally a part of the plot as well as many other things. But I digress. Moving along, we have the new raid, which is known as Eden's Verse, and it will be bringing us a new lineup of primals for us to face off, which, as shown from the photo, we already know that we're going to be dealing with our freaking boy Ramu. And good God, I don't know exactly how ready I am for that. And as well as all of his thunderbolts, because as we all know, this is also going to be a part or based off of our imagination, which, again, looking at this photo, seems pretty accurate. Oh God, those thunderbolts. I'm already feeling the PTSD just thinking about it. Don't even freaking mention orbs to me, I swear. Now, as far as the other things that we'll be facing off, what we'll likely be facing off, we only have a couple left. I mean, I don't really know whether or not if King Mogamog will be a part of this, but I do know for a fact that Shiva will most certainly be a part of this. As far as her being last within this list of bosses that we'll be facing, not entirely sure. And there will of course be original bosses that will be a part of this quest line, or as far as the whole entire raid tier is concerned. They will probably be doing the same pattern that they did for Eden's Gate. Other than that, I was kind of hoping to see another primal to be added in here, though it would really be cool for the possibility of Odin being in this line of content. I would very much appreciate seeing Odin being brought into this new form of content and being a part of the raid, seeing new forms of mechanics from this dude, and even more swords. I really would very much like to see our character's imagination of this freaking primal right now. I swear those swords, those damn swords. But other than that, we're gonna continue on. We have the new relic quests that's gonna be popping in for this patch, which I have been anticipating for quite some time. And as far as it entails, one of the things I'm really baffled by is that this quest line is not going to be in the first. It's not going to be in the first. It's going to be taking place in the source. That was one thing that I was surprised by. I really expected us to be getting first equivalent weapons that we'll be able to upgrade, as we kind of do get our AF weapons from Grandolt himself, which is essentially the first version of our buddy Geralt. So this really baffles me. This whole entire thing really baffles me. Now, as far as where the story takes place, it's going to be taking place in Hrothgar's home of the Baja Citadel, which is the reason for my baffledness. In the long run, we'll just have to wait and see where this goes. As far as how they're going to be doing the said content, they have been deliberating on exactly how they're going to go about this new weapon enhancement quest in question, and they kind of decided going in the middle route. They wanted to see whether or not if going the Zodiac and animal weapon route would be the best thing for this patch, or trying to implement another form of Eureka. But instead, they're trying to, of course, go the middle route and doing something a little bit more interesting by taking bits and pieces of both of these forms of content and making something a little bit different, which is how Baja Citadel is going to be having a big significance here. They did say that this is going to be a sort of independent individual content, which brings the whole entire mind of the whole middle route thing. So we'll just have to wait and see where this goes. Now, job adjustments, they didn't really say much, only for the fact that they mentioned that Red Mage is going to be getting something, and they did say that Ninja was also going to be getting something, but I do believe that that was mainly for PvP. But Red Mage, yeah, that job to me is still boring to this very day, and it's still, I just cannot get into it, guys. I just cannot get into it. Cannot get into its AoE rotation, because the majority of the time you're going to be doing AoE rotations. There's just no and, ifs, or buts about that. And with this AoE rotation being so flat out boring, like there's no extra like oomph to its rotation. You're pretty much just repeating over and over and over again, going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth of the same spell. And that's pretty much just it, while it's going in and using a pathetic melee AoE ability. So yeah, I really would like for them to make their finishers an AoE type of ability, an AoE type of spell, because they really look like they would be AoEs. Let's just be honest here. They need to make them AoEs. Come on now. Now, PvP got updates, but they didn't delve deeply into it. Surprise, surprise. So we're not going to delve into it either. Moving along, we get to the big kicker of this actual patch, which is the Ishgardian Restoration update, as well as the crafting and gathering revamps, which was promised in 5.1 and of course 5.2. But not only that, Ishgard is going to be getting quite possibly the biggest part of updates that's going to also be updated throughout the course of these patches, with first being the diadem. Getting a whole entire redesign treatment, the diadem is going to be a gatherer focused form of content, which I, in all honesty, appreciate wholeheartedly, as this is going to give me a whole new way of leveling my class, mainly due to the fact that I can go in this content as early as level 10 as long as I have access to Ishgard. No Cerulean tanks required. I absolutely love it. And not only that, you will be able to kill 2 birds with 1 stone, being able to freaking get experience and getting sky builder coins to freaking exchange for whatever you want. It is literally an excellent way of bringing old content back in the fray, bringing it back to its own feet, its own 2 feet, and so on and so forth, all that shit. It really is the best way about doing this, and I really appreciate them for this. Good God, thank you. Now, another intriguing aspect of this change is that there will still be monsters roaming about in this area. They just will not attack you though. You, however, will be able to grind items from them, which is pretty interesting. I can't wait to see exactly how that's going to be in terms of this mechanic that kind of sort of has a limit break-esque type of feel to it. The gauge, which is pretty much the athromatic auger, is a gauge that you fill up in order to be able to collect said items from these enemies. So yeah, this is going to be an interesting form of content and an interesting form of change for the diadem. I really can't wait for this. I really will try this out and get a good feel for what it is. And I hope the veterans of the gathering department will enjoy this as well. Now, we continue on with many of the other changes as far as the crafter side. They are going to be getting some actual difficulty, some actual challenge. This is for all the veteran crafters out there, because we will now be getting expert recipes, which hopefully this is what all the veterans have been waiting for at this point. They haven't really delved exactly what the expert recipes entails, other than the fact that the statuses that you get, yeah, there's going to be extra statuses that will trigger other than poor, good, and excellent. So this will most notably give us another form of challenge when it comes to the whole entire crafting bit. And not only that, it will give an added incentive due to these expert recipes garnering a greater reward than usual. So other than that, we'll just have to wait and see where this goes. For all the veterans out there, obviously for those like Ash and various others that make crafting and gathering videos. Next up is the Couple of Fortune, which is another scratch off ticket that is not a part of the Gold Saucer. It is going to be a part of the Ishgardian Restoration. I don't know how to feel about this, because it's a reward that you get for contributing into the work effort of the restoration, but at the same time, it itself is a form of RNG. You don't really know what you're going to get. So I can only hope they'll have something worthwhile for us to care for these things. We'll just have to see where it goes. Again, it's just something that we're just gonna have to see where it goes. They added something that I am not too surprised that we got, or we will gonna be getting, because I expected this to come at some point, and that is the rankings that will be a part of the restoration. These will be separated in 2 categories, which is the crafting and gathering, obviously. I'm just gonna say here that I am not exactly into these kinds of things. Sure enough, it's nice to have that form of competition, but crafting and gathering is not exactly something that I'm too serious in, and I absolutely do not have all that much of experience when it comes to hardcore professional crafting and gathering. So it's like there's no way I'm going to be literally high up on the ranking list. So that I'm just gonna leave to the actual hardcore veterans in that area. But this will definitely give the veterans a form of competition to make things interesting. So 2 thumbs up for that. 2 thumbs up for that. Moving along, we have a ton of revamps, which is probably the coolest aspect of this patch. That we're going to be getting so many things with the materia system, but also the desynth. Actions, again, will be adjusted, and a new feature will also be added. An estimation for crafting to gauge what skill will do what, and by how much, which is an excellent feature for both veterans and newcomers alike in the crafting department. You'll be able to plan out your next move with this kind of feature and exactly what in the world would you need to do when it comes to it, which is a very badass change, and it's going to be for the better. I can only wonder what the veterans will actually like plan on doing with this like feature. Even though we have macros, crafting is already easy as it is, and I'm pretty sure this is going to be making it a lot easier. Now that I think about it, I can only wonder exactly how easy this will make expert recipes in the long run. So I don't know, either this will be a detriment to the whole entire thing, or this will be a form of improvement. We'll just have to wait and see. As said before, the synthesis will be made easier to level because of the whole entire fact that now you'll be able to freaking quick synth stacked items. Maybe. I may be jumping to conclusions here because the way on how I'm reading it, that's essentially what it sounds like. The synthesis will be made easier for stacked items, which sounds like you will be able to quick synth a bunch of items that are literally the same. Don't know. Maybe. Maybe not. We'll just have to wait and see. Still, it's cool. But I think this is probably going to make desynthing relatively easy for those to literally like do in the long run when it comes to the whole leveling bit and what have you. Now, one of the biggest aspects of the revamp here is the fact that you will no longer need to be in a party for company crafting in your workshop, which I am so fucking thankful. I will no longer need to worry about needing to have 3 other people just to get shit done. Thank God. Next up is the fishing update, which I don't entirely care. So yeah, we're just going to move on and not really bother with that. The next thing we have is the Sky Steel tools, which funnily enough is a relic quest of sorts for crafting and gathering. I am really surprised by this, but it is definitely something to look forward to, because being able to actually have a tool that you will be able to grow with, to be able to use and not have to worry about needing to upgrade to something else that you'll have to craft or buy or anything of the nature. This is something that you will be able to enhance as the patch goes on and all that good stuff. One thing that I'm definitely interested in is whether or not if it's definitely going to be similar to that of the like relic weapons, or technically speaking the achievement tools, wherein the tools can have a glow to it. We'll find out. We'll find out. Now, moving along to the next bit of revamp is the materia system. The materia system, whereas you will no longer need to worry about your equipment being destroyed after creating materia by spirit bonding, is a change that was most notably needed. It was most definitely needed. It was so needed. I'm actually kind of surprised that they even decided to do this at this point. This is quite honestly going to be a very big change that could possibly bring back the active spirit bond groups into the fray. I even remember those days killing mobs in the Earth's font, which was so tedious, but hey, it was those were the days. Those were the days. I remember those days being in those groups. Another great change is that you will no longer need to freaking level all your crafters in order to meld materia. You just need one. And of course, they decide to do this after the fact that I leveled up all of my crafters. Everyone else is going to be having the easy life. Thanks, Square. Now, finishing off, we have one last new form of content that's going to be coming in for fishers, which is exclusive, known as the ocean fishing. And this is quite honestly the most interesting form of content for Fisher that I will ever have, in my opinion. This is literally one thing where my interest will most certainly lie at this point when it comes to fishing, because I just cannot get into fishing whatsoever. Going on a boat in order to literally fish in the open seas is going to be a very cool thing to do, and will most likely keep it a little bit more proactive in terms of the mechanics of it all. Whereas it's another way for you to level up your class, but at the same time getting scripts. So yeah, this is going to make this class a lot more proactive in a sense, just on how this is going to work. So I actually cannot wait to try this out and see where this goes. And now we finish off with the last bit of information, which is of course the new Alec tomestones that's going to be coming in, and then of course the additional chapters of the new game plus, blah 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 blah. And then here's the actual interesting part, the fact that we're going to be getting a new rank increase for free companies. I didn't think that this was going to ever happen whatsoever. And now it just opens the floodgates of exactly what in the world will we be getting when we get to rank 9. Will we be getting anything new when it comes to the workshop? Will grade 3s of our buff be purchasable at our grain companies? Or will there be a possibility of grade 4s coming to existence and coming to the game? We will never know. We will just have to wait until this releases at this point. That, or if they delve into this a little bit further in the next live letter for part 2 of 5.2. So yeah, we're just gonna have to go about it that way. Now the last bit of information is of course the new gold saucer courses of the leap of faith, blah 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 blah, and the fellowship getting added into the companion app, which I also don't really care about. But they ended this miscellaneous section with an update where we will be having umbrellas added. I have absolutely no idea what in the world this entails, whether this is an emote, we'll freaking literally pull out a freaking umbrella or something, or it's an item for housing. Don't know. Again, we'll just have to wait and see. Now, as far as that, we finish off and go on to various other things as far as the Q&A and blah 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 blah, and a tidbit of interesting information for us to know is the fact that the Yokai Watch event is going to be returning, but is going to be returning in a bigger way, whereas we will be getting new minions, 4 of them, as well as 4 new weapons, which is obviously going to be for the Gunbreaker, the Dancer, as well as the Samurai and Red Mage. So that is something to look forward to as far as what they're going to look like. Not to mention, it's going to be made easier for you to get the mount. So with that in mind, I hope you guys are ready for some more freaking collaboration fates. Time to do some more fate grinds. Yay! And with that, my friends, that pretty much ends it for my discussion of the live letter. It took a minute for this to come about. Sorry, I really have a lot of shit that I have to do and deal with. Like, we're in the holidays, so yeah, things kind of moving a little bit slow here with me throwing out content. And then not to mention the fact that we have the whole entire Kappa thing, which I still haven't made a video for, and I don't know whether or not if I will be making a video for it. I don't know exactly what I plan on doing for what 2020 is going to be giving me, what is going to offer us, and as far as YouTubers are concerned, but I hope that I won't have to worry too much. that's all I have to say on the matter. So with that in mind, I hope you guys enjoyed this discussion video. You guys have a very nice day, nice night, nice morning, nice afternoon, all of that nonsense, and I shall catch you in the next one. Peace out and take care now.